The Leeds City Region is a partnership of local authorities: Leeds, Wakefield, Kirklees, Calderdale, Wakefield, York, Selby, Craven, Harrogate, and also part of North Yorkshire County Council. And it's a partnership because that's the functional economic area, with Leeds and Bradford, who I left out of the list, but at their hearts. So that's where people travel to work, supply chains exist, and where businesses have no regard really for local authority boundaries. The benefits for Kirklees of being a part of the City Region are that we can help set the agenda for what's important, first and foremost. And a really good example of that is pressing the case for advanced manufacturing, innovation, and the skills and jobs which are at the heart of the Kirklees economy. And we've been successful in influencing something called the Strategic Economic Plan, which will shape the way that government gives the City Region and then Kirklees money for infrastructure, for skills, and for other projects where we wouldn't otherwise have that investment. Because we worked with those authorities to get a city deal with government, we were able to get several £1 million in skills funding that we wouldn't otherwise have got, and that has led to the creation of apprenticeship hub within the district, which is now operational, and there are people going into apprenticeships who wouldn't have been able to. We own some land which is now called Dewsbury Country Park. We've always been trying to make it into a country park, but now we're looking at it through a different lens and thinking, well, actually there's people locally who, if they could get the skills of forestry, of leisure, perhaps start volunteering in that site, could go on to build that experience into a career. The economy is starting to recover locally, and overall unemployment is less than 5% of the total working age workforce. There is a real pressure point for young people under 24 from all communities getting into work and having an opportunity. It's really important that young people are as work ready as they can be. It's important to employers who say one of the big barriers to them taking on young people is the fact that they're not necessarily used to or have some of the what employers regard as very basic disciplines and attitudes that would allow them to work. There are quite a number of vacancies in the social care economy because, as you know, the population is also getting older, as well as a growth in young people. The issue of connecting vulnerable young people and hard to reach communities to jobs applies across the board really. It applies in some of our white working class communities, some of the housing estates, among Asian young people, among the African heritage community, more recent people who have arrived in the borough, for example, from Eastern Europe. And one of the things that we have to do is to be aware of actually who's in the district, and therefore what the right approach is to trying to get to all of those groups so that the opportunity is available to them. So if I take again the example of social care, where this is perhaps most developed, you would have some services which are provided importantly by the local authority, because it's important that we set the standard, and that particularly we set the standard as far as things like wages and terms and conditions are concerned, because there needs to be quality work out there. That there though are commissions to charities and the voluntary and community sector for services that are required for the long term. So if I use examples, there's a third sector leaders group in Kirklees which talks to the council and the NHS and other commissioners of services about what they would like to see in terms of more sustainable more sustainable work available for them. Of course, this is really, really difficult at a time when the council is under very significant funding pressure and cuts. When we've had additional money, we've commissioned it out. When we're looking at another 40% reduction over 3 years starting from 2010, doing the sort of re-engineering that I'm talking about at the same time as the council staff feel threatened by those cuts is a real challenge. So a 40% reduction in our budget over 3 years looks like another £67 million less at the end of that period. And if you think in starting in 2010, we will already have reduced our budget by 64 million. That's a very significant reduction for this and every council in the north of England. Not every council nationally, every council. The areas of opportunity and where there will be jobs in Kirklees are changing. So certainly 10-15 years ago, the opportunities would have been predominantly in the public sector, in the NHS, in the council, in schools, colleges and the university. And there is still opportunity there, for example, at the university, and also in turnover of staff, but all of the public sector is facing very significant reduction, so that's far less of an opportunity than it once was. Where the opportunities are now are in the private sector, in the voluntary and community sector. For example, in manufacturing, engineering, apprenticeships, in design, in the creative media, in social care, in things that relate to the growing elderly population, and also in people setting up their own businesses and taking a different path in life. And there's a lot of support through, for example, the Studio School, which is set up now up on Netherhall, through the university and the college, who both support students to go on and set up their businesses, and also actually just from people who are in communities who just feel that they want to do something different and go their own way. So it's very much more about enterprise again, and entrepreneurship, horrible word though it is, and people just feeling that they want to try something a bit different. We absolutely are taking that responsibility seriously. So for example, in talking to the Youth Council, talking about how we can do that better. For example, by talking to schools about the importance of work and their role in getting children into work, as well as young people into work, as well as aiming for that important educational standard. In talking to businesses about the need to be flexible about the sorts of people and backgrounds of people who are able then to present themselves for work. And it actually needs everyone from the individual themselves through to the statutory agencies to be focusing hard on that. One of the things at a city region level is that there is a particular focus on social and community enterprises, so that the opportunities are simply not through the private and public sectors. And the challenges for those organisations are that funding has tended to be one-off and through councils, so they can spend a lot of money, a lot of time chasing one-off funding opportunities. What we're seeking to do as a council, and the other councils are as well, is to think about what's a more sustainable balance between public, private, voluntary and community sector, so that there is a pipeline of services which could be provided in a mixed market. So I've talked about a lot of things where there is opportunity, although it is still a very tough economy. And there are also lots of places you can go to get help, but one of the things the council, and that I'm really keen on, is that actually you can use the council's website as a front door to all of those different agencies who could provide you with support and help. So that's how the City Region contributes, but underneath that there are council initiatives, one of which is called Ladders into Employment, where we try to work with young people in particular, but all people who perhaps aren't immediately ready for going into say a level 2 or level 3 qualification, and sometimes it's just about giving them experience, helping them get into a routine of daily life that then enables them to go into work, and then above that encouraging them to get MVQs and to come to college, so that then some of the apprenticeships and other opportunities are available to them.